What's going on, everybody? Welcome back in. Jake Shavink here. We are recapping day one of the 2025 NFL Scouting Combine. A lot to discuss today. We have some Avengers level threats we need to keep an eye on, that's for sure. We'll be talking about some of the implications today, of course. We go through some prospects. We're going to look at the RAS tables given by the great Kent Lee Platt, who you should be following everywhere this week because those are going to be updating very quickly when everything comes in. So really excited about this. And we'll go through those, and we'll also take a look at NFL.com's Amazon Quick Site using all the next-gen stats, take a look at some of the athleticism stuff there from the drills, the top speeds and some certain things besides the 40. So we got a lot to get to. So I hope you guys are excited for this. As always, right? You got questions, you want a player brought up, we'll bring them up on the screen. But we got to start here, okay? There's nowhere else to start. Avengers level threat alert. Alert, alert. Okay, Shemar Stewart, defensive end, Texas A&M, comes in the weigh-in, right, at 6'5", 267, down from 281 at the Senior Bowl. Okay, clearly dropping weight to perform well at the combine. And here we are. Here we are. We are at 10 watch right now for Shemar Stewart. Agility testing, of course, to be determined. We'll see. We'll see where that ends up. If that info's out there, let me know. Right, but here we are. We are on watch right now. This is, I've already declared him an Avenger. I even think if the agilities are halfway decent, we're still going to get like a 9.9 in the athletic testing department. So, man, what a day. Drops a 4.59, a 1.58, 10-yard split. Just off of the split, by the way, from James Pierce, who will also get to. The difference, right, it's obviously hundredths of a second. Pierce was a little bit faster in both. But, man, at 267 versus James Pierce at 245. So, my goodness, obviously has the arm length right at 34 and an eighth to play on the edge. I mean, at 6'5", 267, you're looking defensive end right now for sure. Jumps 40 in the vert, that's 98th percentile. Jumps 131 inches in the broad jump, that's 99th percentile. I mean, come on, man. This is what we're talking about. And I think, right, when you look at this, and I'm going to bring something up as well when we get to it. Actually, no, let's bring it up now. Because the talk is, right, that essentially now he's locked into the top 10. Well, folks, let's go over to my Substack real quick from February 11th, 16 days ago. Boom. 9th to the Saints. Okay? I think that's where he lands. Unless the Panthers go that direction, for the Packer fans who are in the chat, it's over. It's over. Okay? We're done. Not happening at 23. I think we can comfortably say that. There's a chance. Adam Huddle says, but he doesn't even do the agilities. It's possible he hasn't, because I know they've come out, but maybe, I don't know if they have for, no, Ezraku's did come out, so yeah, maybe he isn't doing them, which is possible. It's definitely possible. Adam Huddle says we need to replace the Godzilla background on Derailed with Shemar Stewart. Yeah, you know what? We'll get on that for next week's show, because that's scheduled already, and I'll make a little something for that for sure. Nate James says, what's going on? Drew D's here. Chris is here. Prince Capsaison's here. Ian the Great says hit the like button. Appreciate that. Drew says he's been real excited for this. Prince Capsaison's blown away by this Stewart testing. Too old for this is here. What's going on? Says still not high as Godzilla's. Drew D saying he feels less bad about getting Shemar Stewart. Nate Williamson, my guy. My guy for the draft show. This will be year 9, by the way, of us doing that. Should he be available and ready to rock? But yeah, this is my bit at the combine, is finding these Avengers, right? Some of these Avengers that we can find in the draft here, like Yeah, he's got it, man. And again, I think the fun thing about this is, right, when NFL Network puts up the player comparisons, right, and they do like, hey, their 40 was this, and their vertical was this, and their size is this. And then it had Stewart with Myles Garrett. And I'm maybe that media might be circling around. Someone probably has that photo. But it's super funny because it also had career sacks on there. It had Myles Garrett having a 28 sack lead in terms of college production there. That's a little jarring to see, right? And again, I think something that Nick Scorton talked about too yesterday in the interviews was like, hey, yeah, I added weight for Texas A&M. They wanted us to play run first before, getting into our pass rush stuff, which again, that's kind of for the Green Bay fans, that was kind of like, okay, like that's what kind of happens right now in the 4-3 opposed to the 3-4. And Scorton was talking about that and goes, yeah, that's what we were asked to do. I put on more weight. And so Stewart, with the sacks, with the pressures, right? Some of that pressure rate, when it's not on, I think I saw something where it was obviously not on design screens and RPOs and all that. The pressure rate, he was about 9%, whereas you got guys like Carter and Pierce who are up near 20%. But again, I think there are some metrics out there that kind of look like, yeah, and some of the true drop back pressures, he's still doing a pretty decent job. Right, I think the film's pretty solid. It just seems to me that, we're not quite there, and I think that's fair, right? When you talk about what he's played, what he could be playing in the league, right? In terms of positional alignment, because it'll vary, right? Where teams want to play him, it might still take some time, but the good news is, right? Because again, last night we talked about the athletic testing isn't everything, right? Like, you need to have that functional athleticism. It's a benchmark to clear. But, right, I do think for edge rushers, you want to see this. This is what you want to see from the top flight edge rushers in the class. And so, this is a good start. I think everybody kind of figured the RAS would be elite, right? Which I think is 8 or above. I'm sure people thought he was going to be in the 9s. This potentially pushing the 10 spot is surpassing my expectations for him. So really impressed. As I said, I don't think 23 felt like a pipe dream. If you're sitting there, even in the late teens, it just might not happen at this point. I think if Trent Baalke were still the general manager in Jacksonville and he could take Shemar Stewart, he would do that at 5, 100%, right? So, but yeah, I mean, he's the headliner, right? And yes, the traits and the athleticism should, in theory, lead to production at some point. It hasn't yet, but it's very possible, right, that his best football is ahead of him. And we knew he was locked into the first. So this is kind of just icing on the cake, seeing him push 10 here, which is really, really impressive. Yes, 4.5 total sacks, right? When they comped him to Garrett had 32.5. So there is a difference there, sure. But he came out and did exactly what he wanted to do, exactly what he said he was going to do. Yeah, very, very, very impressed with how Stewart did. Drew would feel good about it. Some of the profile pics. Yeah, when you show up to these, some of the profile pics are interesting. Tuolfus says, who's my boy with the 1.58 RAS? I don't know. Well, we might get to that. I might know who it is. Is it the Iowa linebacker? It might be. Joseph Gleason says Football Scout had a really good Stewart breakdown drop today. Agility looked really nice. Yeah, I thought I think he can change direction, right? To me, it's just going to be more about what the plan is as a pass rusher. I think that's going to ultimately, if he can develop that plan and the coaching works, all of that, I think you can get a lot out of him at the next level, right? But he has to buy in, right? He has to work on that plan as a whole. There's a lot of times where it's the straight bull rush, but he needs to set that up, right? He needs to set up with a lot more acceleration to the corner. I think Stewart could learn some things from Kyle Kennard from South Carolina. So I do think he can get there. I really do. Yeah, the 40 vert, and once we found out, right, because they did their vert and broad before they ran. And so once we kind of found out that Stewart was jumping that, it was kind of like, all right, all right, so he's going to be we're going to threaten something here. A lot of talk about sub 4.7, and it happened. It happened. So yeah, once he jumped that, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, we're in for it now. Like it's happening. So Adam Huddle says somewhere in Indy, Trent Baalke is trying to break into Lucas Oil for both Shemar and Michael Williams. So true. So true. If he gets a consulting gig somewhere before the draft, you know. He's going to be like, hey, you guys need edge help? I'll tell you right now. I got 2 guys for you. They don't have a lot of sacks, but you see them test. He would definitely be that guy. So, yeah, and this is the interesting part, right? He drops weight to 267, as Prince Capsaicon points out. It's possible his playing weight was still around 280, and Texas A&M just lists him at 290. But obviously, they wanted their edge guys, their edge rushers, defensive ends to bulk up to play in that scheme. So maybe this is a more comfortable weight for him, but it's very possible that he's dropping weight just to do this, and then get back up to the playing weight. I think it'd be way better if people were at the combine asking questions like, "What was your playing weight this year?" So they know. So it's hard to say. Maybe he could have been 290 at the preseason weigh-in, and it just slowly dropped a little bit throughout the season, and he got to the Senior Bowl at 281. But this was a clear one of two things or both things. Like, I'm dropping weight to do this, right? To do all of this, and because I'm more comfortable playing at it. So, yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? Not much. Other than, turn the film on and kind of, if you haven't watched him, if you're still interested in him, like, take a look, right? Make sure, you feel comfortable about it. Well, I was going to go a different direction, but Drew put this in. Let's go here. Darius Alexander, Toledo, defensive tackle. This is a good day, folks. We like this, okay? Plus, the agilities are already here. So the agility grades are all right. The 3-cone is solid. The shuttle, not as good. I don't know. The shuttle could have been, a turf thing, which somebody said that. Where was that? Didn't somebody say? Oh, yeah. Drew D talking about the trash field. Yeah, because what happened really quick before we get to Alexander, they put in some new turf, and I guess it's supposed to give off more of a sandy-like feel on the turf. So that, to me, tells me, okay, it's going to be more like natural grass, which is what it said in the report on it, right? Like, there's less chance of kind of being sticky like the old, rubber, that kind of those rubber pellets they put all over the turf, right? So you weren't going to stick as much, and that was very clearly an issue. Guys slipping on, working, left to right in some of the shuttle drills, right? Linebackers were doing it, the defensive linemen. It was everywhere. You see the guys running the ring a little bit, and it was kind of like, oh yeah, they're slipping. So that was a problem. And I don't know if you can fix that with cleats. I don't know. That's a great question. If now everybody else goes all right, yeah, I need some different cleats for tomorrow or for Saturday or whatever. We'll see. But it was very clearly the field wasn't the best. It was not the best. So yeah, Darius Alexander. I mean, 6'3", 305, which we knew, right? There weren't that many differences from Mobile. There was a few, and we'll get to them. Obviously, Stewart was one of them that dropped a ton. But this is good. When he got the 10-yard split out there at 173, which is 80th percentile, that works. Explosiveness you want to see, 85th and 88th percentiles with the vert and broad respectively. And then the 3-cone. This is good. 34-inch arm length was going to be very beneficial for him. Right, we've talked about how Alexander might be able to move around a little bit, right? But 3 tech, right, is where he's going to find his home, and then he might kick out to some 5 tech and maybe a little wider in some funky rush packages if you want to get creative, right? Find a matchup that you feel like you can exploit with him, because he clearly did at the Senior Bowl. Darius Alexander is crushing the draft process. There's no question about that, right? Does that matter more than the film? But the film is good, right? So I think altogether we're looking at, what happens when there's a ridiculously good defensive line class. Darius Alexander, I know I kind of was like, oh, he might, sneaky round 1 selection. That might still be the case. However, based on the depth right now of this class, kind of feel like he's probably going to be a day 2 guy unless the Chiefs or the Eagles are very, very interested there, which they could be. No doubt. They definitely could be. But I do think with the depth right now, Derek Harmon did well today. Kind of feels like he's going to be, round 2 player. So Packers fans, other fans of teams who are here, if you're looking on early round 2, middle of round 2, could definitely be in play for you. This was good. This was what you needed from Alexander today. So, so Higgins did. Yeah, we'll get to Higgins. We will get to Higgins. Was not ideal. This is my guy Nate saying this is a weird aside, but maybe the fight between Rapp and Schultz was over who loves Shemar Stewart more. That's funny. That's funny. That is really, really good. Judy says, don't players lose about 10 pounds throughout the season? That's very possible. Unless you're really keeping up with the calorie count and stuff like that. I imagine so. Based on hearing what guys like J.J. Watt would eat during the season, I feel like that's probably true. Airjoy says, just got here. Heard about Stewart, not trying to look too deep into that talk. Yeah, we already got that out of the way. Airjoy, we kind of talked about Avengers level performance today. Probably not going to be in range at 23. Just being honest. I think that ship has sailed, which I think some people will be happy about that. Some people won't be, But yeah, I think Alexander's a good backup plan on day 2 at defensive tackle for whoever, if they don't go there in round 1. So yeah, what else? I mean, Nolan didn't do much. Graham didn't do much. Guys that were going to stay out, stayed out, which understandable, right? If you're locked into round 1, what can you do? I mean, we've seen Graham play. We've seen Nolan move. So I don't think those were really questions to worry about. But yeah, I think other than that, we'll keep moving along. Joseph Gleason dropping this one. You already know we got him up here. Don't know if he's doing agilities or not. He might not, but yeah, nearly an Avenger here, right? This might be, kind of creeping into that territory. I imagine based on the agilities, right? He's, I don't think he's going to have great agilities if he did test in them. So there is that. But again, another guy who vertical's 99th percentile, broad jump's 99th percentile, 6'6", 264 doing all this, right? And then the splits were pretty good. You could see the 40 a little bit better than the 10-yard split, which is interesting, right? So I can kind of tell you he's more of a build-up speed player, which means the get-off and explosion maybe isn't the best, right, in terms of out of that stance. But he's intriguing on film, right? He's big, strong, disruptive player, but I think this could, maybe not quite expected, right, as a 988, but I do think he's someone who I don't think it's going to change a whole lot because I'm sure teams were well aware of the athleticism here. You can certainly see it on film at times, definitely, but I do think he has more work to do as well. In terms of the film. So he's still somebody who obviously is going to be a day 2 pick somewhere. But I don't think I see him sneaking into round 1. I think there are clear tiers above him at defensive end, right? We already talked about Stewart. Mykel Williams, I doubt, even though he didn't participate, that he's not going to, right? So, and then you have your outside linebackers more so than defensive ends, right? Your Mike Green, James Pierce, all of that, and maybe even Nick Scorton, right? On top of that, you got Princely Uman-Mielen. So I do think that he is going to get a little more lost in that shuffle as Araku as well. So yeah, I do like, though, what we're getting here. That's good. You want to see your edge rushers test like this. But to me, he's got kind of that Van Ness vibe to him a little bit. And for some people, that would be a good thing. For me, a little bit less so. But, again, he came out and did what he needed to do. So he did what he needed to do. Airjoy would like Alexander Lau if we didn't go defensive tackle first round. Definitely. Yeah, CJ West is somebody we're going to talk about as well. Drew D for sure. Airjoy says maybe Nolan not going helps us get to a better shot of getting him into our range. Maybe. Or Nolan knows that like the Cowboys are the floor or something at like 12. And that's just kind of that. Landon Jackson, an effort player. Yeah, let's go down the line a little bit here and find a few others. Just because he was mentioned first, I don't think. Hold on, let's double check and make sure we don't have any updates. Got a Princely update. We got Ezraku, which we'll get to. No, okay. Yeah, let's go to CJ West. Talk about him. Sure, I can find him. Here we go. So, CJ West, yeah, I mean, 6'1", 316, arm length a little short, but he is disruptive. The Michigan film is extremely good. He's tossing guys around, right? He's taking advantage of guys lunging forward, popping the hands, right? He can get to some other moves and kind of counter what offensive linemen are doing. Good splits, 80th percentile as well. The vertical is really good at 93rd percentile. I saw this, got the Kenny Clark comp. Obviously, Kenny Clark coming out at 20 years old. CJ West, I think, is at least 23 or going to be 23. But yeah, I mean, from Kent State to Indiana, he's made a heck of a come up for himself and made himself a lot of money as well. After transferring to Indiana and then doing this, right? A 916 unofficial, of course, but this will work. This is again another guy like, Alexander getting pushed today to the second round, right? CJ West still might be a third, fourth round pick, even at this athleticism, right? With the testing, maybe he gets into the third round now. But it's still so deep that it's just kind of like, another guy that we can be talking about here at defensive tackle for a lot of teams who need it and who want to continue to work out how to create pressure with four. Like, he's probably going to be a part of that. Could he lean more to one tech? For sure. Yes. But he's going to give you plenty of juice at the one tech as well. Nolan screaming some red flags. Maybe. I don't. Again, the reports, Texas A&M, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It could be something, could be nothing. Very, very possible either way. Might be able to bench press with the short arms. That's true. Could see a good bench number from West. I know Graham is also going to be doing that tomorrow after doing nothing else. Chris N said Goot shouldn't blow this with all the DT talent available. That is true. Let's get to, I will look for who Ayers Joy would like to see. Scorton and Birch. I'm going to keep looking down for that. But again, I don't remember if Scorton did anything other than the drills, perhaps. This is very possible. Which, like, he looked fluid in the as we're going through this. I don't think he did anything, actually. Let me double check on that, but I don't think we have anything. But we will get to on Nick Scorton just because. Yeah, it looks like he just did the drills, no testing. So that's fine. The thing with Scorton that we want to talk about, right, is the fact that he was listed as a guy around, what was it, like 280, right? And he talked about this as we already discussed, right, of like, okay, yeah, he was at 280 at Texas A&M. They asked him to bulk up. They wanted him to, play the run first. And he's like, well, that's kind of why, I didn't have the production. So there is a little bit of that for sure. And I want to bring up his stats so we can see that a little bit here between 24 and 23. Right, 36 pressures and 4 sacks. He had 42 and 8 the year before at Purdue. Still, PFF liked him as a pass rusher, right? But I do think he did lose a little bit of fluidity and the ability to kind of change direction, to stop-start quicks, because they asked him to bulk up to defend the run more in their scheme. I'm kind of warming up more, like even PFF right here, 6'4", 285, and he came in at 6'3" and change, 6'2" and change, 6'2" and change, I think, and 257. So that's definitely worth noting with Scorton. We'll see if the pro day testing numbers look pretty good. They're probably going to give him, a little bit of a bump. Obviously, we've talked about that before. Like the pro day scores, they kind of get that 500ths, 800ths of a second bump in some certain things. So that's worth, keeping tabs on as well when that testing comes out. But another guy who might just not fit some certain schemes, and you would rather see him be better as a pass rusher for sure. But I do think there's plenty to work with here. Like he got, at least according to PFF. I mean, solid game against Notre Dame. That's fine. But as the SEC season kept rolling on, better and better. Texas not as great. So some people have him as edge 1, edge 2. So another guy, if you haven't looked at it, right, I still think he could be on that radar. Near end of round 1, start of round 2, top 40, top 50, I think is still very much in play for him. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see what happens after this, because now he's dropped that weight significantly. As to Jordan Birch, who did run for sure. It's just better off if I search for these, because they should come up. I know that Birch was 6'4", 279, 33-inch arm length. So that's nice. Come on, give me the card, please. No card? Goodness. This is crazy. I need to find that card. Where are we doing? I did see the guy get hit in the head with the ball. That was tough, right? We're in front 7 mode today. So, the whole, catch the football and some of these stuff with dropping and doing all that it's not going to be great. Airsjoy says Scourton, nice option in the second round. Yeah, I don't see why not. Come on, where is Jordan Birch? Gosh darn it, we have so many other guys to get to. Where is he? Did we not have something? He ran. I know he did. All right, we'll come back to Birch. I thought he ran. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. Maybe I'm thinking about Harmon and not him. But anyway, but at 279, right, you saw, I think, a commitment to playing defensive end. But we'll see. Let's go here, just because I want to get to him, just because we got to talk about a bunch of these guys here. I know the Packer fans are probably like, yeah, they're pretty much out. I would agree, but we we talk about everybody. Want to talk James Pierce, 158 with the 4.5. That's the type of explosiveness and speed you wanted to see. Broad jump is good. The vert, that's weird. 31-inch vertical, 43rd percentile. Strange, but again, at 245, you're playing him at 3-4 outside linebacker. You're going to ask him to sometimes take on stuff against the run, which I think he did a pretty decent job at Tennessee. But you're drafting him to get after quarterbacks, and that's something he has proven to do at a high level. I know the Leonard Floyd comps have been thrown out there for James Pierce. I don't mind that. I know somebody maybe brought up Bruce Irvin with James Pierce. That's interesting as well. But again, he kind of did what he needed to do today. But again, the vert is a very strange one. So yeah, I could probably not be a Packer, but production has always been there, right? He's up with, pass rush win rate and run stop rate, like with Abdul Carter. So probably a guy I don't see, escaping the top 20. Seattle, Atlanta, 2 destinations for him. So I do think he is somebody who, like Stewart, is just not going to Stewart probably not going to escape the top 10 or top 15. Pierce, top 15, top 20. So I do think you'll see these guys both be cemented in the first. So that's what I'm thinking there with Pierce. I want to see if he got full testing. Yeah. Okay. So this is the other big one, where Princely Umanmielen was 6'4", 264 in Mobile. Heck, we brought up the graphic last night when we talked about him. So drops all the way to 244 for the combine. Clearly to get better numbers, and it looks fine. It looks solid here. The explosion stuff is good. The vert at 38, the broad jump at 126 inches, 10 feet 6 inches. 10-yard split is solid. This is what I want to talk about, the 10-yard split and then the 40, right? Where you look at Umanmielen, excuse me, his stride length is interesting. It's a very weird stride length when he rushes and when he's running and stuff like this. He had a kind of a clunky 10-yard split, and you could tell it was like weird. There was something off. And I think it might be just, his lower half and the stride length that he kind of plays with. It's strange. It can work, but yeah, you get like an odd feeling when you watch him in the drills and you watch him a little bit, right, with the long strider. But again, looking weird running the 40, no guarantees there, right? Kyle Hamilton looked weird running the 40, and we're okay. But I do think the stride length thing shows up when he rushes the passer. So that's something definitely to note. I know people are asking, like, is he really 244? He absolutely came in at 244. But yes, he was 264 at the Senior Bowl. So another guy who dropped weight, but it did seem like at 264 he wasn't as explosive. So maybe this is the weight around 245 to 250 that he wants to play at. But kind of a strange day for him. Good explosion. The agility's fine. You would like to see a better 3-cone than 7.33 for 244. But, it is what it is. Scourton, a nice option in the second. Yeah. Ty Robinson. Yeah, we're going to bring his thing up. Adam says Pierce's profile is scary. Yeah, Scourton even said he was kind of playing at not his desired weight at Texas A&M. So that is true. Princely looked weird for sure. Don't understand the weight drop. Again, it could have been, I don't know. I would love to hear what these guys played at during the season, what they were comfortable playing at, because yeah, these big weight fluctuation things, strange. And again, dropping weight to get better testing numbers is not unheard of. But dropping 20, that's something. I mean, teams are going to figure that out. Why'd you do this? What's your playing weight? Like they're going to ask that. The media did not ask that very much to these guys, which I would like them to do. If I get to go to the combine someday, I will ask that for plenty of guys. Hey, Braden, what's going on? Hope all is well with you too, man. I know y'all in Chiefs Kingdom have a busy offseason. Got off to the start with Trey Smith, franchise tag today. Y'all are probably looking at defensive line as well, right? With Omenahu potentially out of there. Maybe some help next to Chris Jones. So, yeah, Landon Jackson did well. House Harkonnen's edge rusher, as I like to coin him. Yeah, he did well. He needed to. That was a good thing for him to show, like, yeah, I've got that type of athleticism. Like, teach me some technique. Give me something, coach me up like that. That's a guy in day two that, he's going to get picked somewhere in there because of the size, athleticism, all of that. So, and yeah, good D-line for sure. Chris is the only DT signed. Hey, Chris Jones and Darius Alexander be a lot of fun, you know. It is certainly, yes, a good year to need defensive tackle. So many guys are going to get pushed down. Now, we were talking a little earlier, Braden, about CJ West and the day he had of like, yeah, like that's a good day to have. And, you know, he's still probably getting way pushed down the board because there's so many other guys in this draft class. So, yeah, it's good to see you, Braden. As you said, I will return the favor. Hope all is well with you. Let's go here. I was going to go to edge rusher, but I like the idea of making sure we look at all these defensive tackles. Now, this is an interesting one because he didn't run, but TJ Sanders, unlike Stewart, unlike Scorton, gosh, I keep saying that wrong, unlike Uman Mielen, says, no, I'm going to add weight for the combine. TJ Sanders, South Carolina, was 284 in Mobile. 297 today. 6'3", 297. That's plenty good. We're talking about Nolan. He's 6'3" and 3/4, 296. So Sanders, if he plays at 297 and he's doing what he does at 297, he's in play, people. 33 1/8 arm length, right? The shuttle and 3-cone are fine. The explosion is good. The film, I think, is very, very solid in terms of, you know, lateral quicks and explosion, right? Disruption skills with the explosion to going straight forward, right? Kind of working to turn the corner, good hand usage, good strike timing, like all of this stuff to win as a pass rusher. And yeah, he's well in play. If he plays around 300 like this and he's doing stuff like this, yeah. Another guy in the second round, firmly stamp that in. I'm almost positive with a guy like Sanders. Could be a guy for Philly at the end of the round one. Could be a guy for Kansas City maybe at the end of round one. So, yeah, a lot to like there with TJ Sanders. Where else should we go? Well, since Drew brought it up and we drafted him last night, and shout out to Daltanian Wade, who asked that question last night, show of like, why are the Nebraska guys get more hype? Well, here you go. They are certainly about to. Ty Robinson is going to get plenty of looks, nearly Avengers level here at a 987 unofficially. He gets up to above 290. He probably is an Avengers level threat in this class. 6'5" and 1/8, 288. 32 1/4 on the arm length department. That's fine. 171 split is good. Right, we're looking at 85th percentile. Some of these 8s and 9s are hard to tell apart, but 85th percentile there. The shuttle in the 86th percentile, you get really, really good explosion numbers from him. 98th percentile broad jump, 95th in the vert. Whew boy. Looking really, really, really good there for Ty Robinson, who is, again, now going to be on that radar of like, oh, day 3, you need defensive tackle as more of a pass rush specialist. Like at 288, like teams are going to be looking at that. And thinking about, you know, at 288 and 6'5", if they can kick him out to 5 tech at all to get creative. But there you go. We took him last night for the Packers fans. We took him in that mock draft. It's looking good. It's looking good there. Where do we want to go next? Yeah, I mean, the defensive tackle group, if you need one, you have to be very pleased with what happened today. Very pleased. Even guys like Tonka Hemingway, who are, you know, another guy he's sitting at 284, but everything looks good here, and he didn't run, yes, but as a pass rush specialist, again, 88th percentile athlete at his position, like, that's good. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins at 276 is weird. I want to see what all these numbers look like at defensive end rather than defensive tackle, just based on that size. So that's something worth, you know, kind of taking a look at. But, like, looks pretty fluid in the drills. The numbers look good. So he's somebody I'll be going and looking at very shortly after the combine just because I haven't taken too much of a peek at him. But yeah, I mean, all right, should we go? Let's go here because they're in. We talked about Princely, Uman Mielen. Just make sure there aren't any other updates. Okay. Let's talk about our guy David Walker from Central Arkansas, who can win the leverage battle because he's 6'0" and 7/8 and 263 as a defensive end. 10-yard split's pretty good. The vert is where he shined, I think, the most, other than obviously in the 20 and the 40, which I'm not really as concerned about. But you look at everything's pretty solid here. This will do, as somebody put in the comments there that you can see that'll play for sure. Maybe he'll be walked out as an outside linebacker. I think that's very possible for him, just how he can play. But for him, for a small school guy, really well done for David Walker today. And then got to talk about this guy because, of course, Jeff Hafley, the Boston College connection, got to do it. 6'2 and a half, 248. So exactly what he was in Mobile. You know, no adding weight, no dropping. I think some of us were kind of hoping that as a Raku was going to get up into the 250, so the Green Bay may consider him because of the arm length at 34. I mean, 6'9", 4'3" cone will definitely play. 96 percentile. The shuttle was 419. That's excellent. The explosions are plenty good enough. My guy can defend the run. He's been productive as a pass rusher. All of the metrics say let's do that. Let's take that chance. I do think it's going to be a question of teams are going to really play him at defensive end, right? He still feels like that 34 outside linebacker. Now, this feels like a Green Bay fans type of let's pay attention here. Now, the agility grades were not good, right? The agility grades were not good. The vert's not good. However, for Green Bay, at 6'4", 262, 34 in the arm length department, like this feels like a player, a day 3 edge player that Green Bay could definitely go target, right? Definitely could go target to kind of add to that room. If they're not really intent on adding somebody on the first 2 days of the draft at defensive end, Jaw Joyner still feels like somebody on day 3 you take the chance on. And I think they will potentially do that. So Jaw Joyner is somebody I really wanted to make sure we talked about. And so, with that being said, let's get to one of the other big ones today. At linebacker, Jahad Campbell. 6'2" and 7/8, 235. And again, the explosiveness, it's all there, right? We know this. This is great blitzer, right? Covers a ton of ground, flashes in coverage, right? He has that speed and explosiveness to him to close, to cover ground, all of that, right? This is kind of the type of athlete you expected to see, right? He almost got to that Avengers level at the 9'9". But this is the type of player he is, right? Jeremiah talked about him kind of like Edgerrin Cooper. Athletes who can blitz and get after the quarterback, for sure. That's 100%. I don't think I love Campbell in terms of block deconstruction, right? Reading things as a Mike linebacker. He feels like more of a weapon that you get after the quarterback and use the range that he has in coverage. But Jahad Campbell, still a great day nonetheless. Where else do we want to go here? Probably going to cut it at the hour, just as a heads up. Okay, no, we got to talk about this. Now, this isn't good from him, and the numbers don't look great. But we got to talk about it's Pegues or Pegues, I think is how you pronounce that. JJ Pegues, perhaps. The fact that this dude is running routes as a fullback / tight end and is going to do drills with the fullbacks and tight ends is really, really cool. Again, you know, he's 6'2" and a half, 309. Perhaps, and people have brought this up already, perhaps he's a Scott Matlock. Perhaps he's a Patrick Ricard, where he actually like transitions to play that position, right? Tight end / fullback in an era where, you know, running the football is coming back, right? Being able to dominate the line of scrimmage matters. So that's, that's pretty interesting. I know the numbers aren't great here for defensive tackle, but again, it'll be fun to see him work out with the tight ends. What I need to find is our guy Derek Harmon. Here we go. Okay, I don't know if he has anything else. I didn't see him in the rest of the stuff, but obviously Derek Harmon just wanted to run, perhaps, and not worry about that. But this is fine, right? You come in at 6'4.5", you come in at 313. You do fine on a 10-yard split. It's not the best, but I do think like the skinny on Harmon, if you were to do an elevator pitch in terms of the prospect, I think he's actually a better run defender on film than I thought he was going to be. But the pass rush stuff is still there, but he still kind of struggles with finishing stuff at the quarterback, right? He's a little bit out of control, a little bit stiffer, but I do think you see the vision there, and I think he didn't need to do a whole lot to solidify himself as a first-round pick. Still feels like top 40 is a lock for him. So it'll just kind of be, is somebody going to take a chance? Is Arizona going to start that train at like 16? Or is he going to leak down to 23? Is he going to get down to Buffalo, Kansas City, Philadelphia, right? Possibly. But I do think the talent, the production, and I think enough athleticism, plus 34 and 3/8 there on the arm length, like that's going to be enough for to me a top 40 lock. He kind of just checked a box quick and then dipped. Braden asks about Chris Paul Jr. I haven't seen the numbers, but my hope is that at 227 we're a really good athlete, because we need to be that. A couple guys quick before we get to linebacker, just to kind of round out defensive line. Jordan Phillips, still 20 years old, not the best here, but like it's still serviceable. He's still big and powerful and explosive rather than like a lateral agility player, right? But I do think like he still has, a lot of football in front of him at 20 years old, where you can work with this. If he's going to be a one tech, you can I think get a lot out of him as a one tech. Aeneas Peebles, right? We knew the undersized. He came into Mobile undersized, right, as a defensive tackle. But the dude just wreaks havoc no matter what he does. So this is good enough. The 174 is good. The explosion's good, right? He's just a little undersized. You may have to rotate him in versus play him on every down. But you know the type of player, the disruption, the spin moves, right? The ability to shoot gaps, it's all there for Aeneas Peebles. So, it's not ideal, but it's fine, because the size grade is going to drag this down, right? 6'0" and 7/8, 222. And I saw this because again, there was a lot of people touting his game, which as they should be, by the time the Shrine Bowl rolled around. But the size, once I saw that, I'm like, okay, well, he's gotta keep him as far away from the ball as possible. Thought the drills were pretty good, right? I again, could it have been better for him to be elite and everything, right? In terms of the speed and explosion, and if they do agilities, yes. Is the size going to drag him down anyway? Yeah, kinda. If he was 230 and doing this, you'd probably see him in the green up here, right? Like that's just kind of how it goes. But I do think like he has a role. It's just he has to be as far away from the ball as he possibly can be at linebacker. So I think he's fine testing wise here, right? As I already said, the size is going to drag it down, but you were probably hoping to maybe see a little bit more just because he's 222, right? Like Stewart did this at 267. So, right, like Stewart's was 4'6" and 158. Like, yeah, it's a little disappointing, but again, film for linebackers is going to be a big deal, right? Some of the not as good athletes are just better instinctively than others. Yeah, so we need to talk about this one. I think Drew D and Arizona are talking about Harmon, I presume. Yeah, but I do think Harmon's still an efficient pass rusher, but I do think there are plenty of times where you see the stiffness a little bit and you see the inability to finish some of those pressures that you would like to see cleaned up. But again, that's probably splitting hairs a little bit for a guy who's, as I already said, a top 40 lock. Now here, a player who, I mean, when you look at Iowa defense, you see him running the show, and you're like, yeah, that's a good player on film. And then he comes in at 6'0", 224, and you're like, my goodness, it's not great. Now he was like 5'11", 226, I think, at the Shrine Bowl. So we were already kind of prepared for this. But then to not do anything very well, you're probably banking on an outlier here at linebacker. So not great. Obviously the film's still good, but for a guy who did a lot of work around the line of scrimmage and did some stuff in coverage, might be sticking to the coverage game, but we'll see. Again, it's not a you can't recover from this, but instinctively you're going to have to be pretty fantastic going forward. Now, there was one more guy, here. Demetrius Knight Jr., this will play. This is fine here. 6'1" and 5'8", 235. Vert, not great. Broad jump's fine. Good running. He looked good in the drills as well. Where it's like, yeah, I mean, this is a potential Mike linebacker. This is like the Jihad Campbells and the Carson Schwessingers, and Schwessinger did that vert and everybody lost their minds, and he's at 242, which I think is good. Like you want to have linebackers big in this era with this, back to committing to the run more, right? Having these big linebackers that can take on guys. But Demetrius Knight Jr., flying under the radar maybe a little bit. I know PFF has him pretty high in their rankings in the mock simulator, but yeah, this is good to see here from Knight Jr. For those looking for a linebacker on day 2, he should be one of your options. Is there anybody else you want to take a peek at today? Oh, wait, we didn't do this yet. Yeah, we want to do this. So let's look at this quick, just because it was a new thing. The NFL talked about this, releasing this stuff, so this is really cool. Some analysis here may be tougher to see, but I'll read it. Essentially, Minnesota's Jaw Joyner finished among the top 2 edge rushers in top speed in nearly every on-field combine drill. Got to 22.5 miles per hour on the 40. Pass rush drill was at 18. The wave drill, which is a good one, all position bests. So that's really impressive that you're seeing him in the drills, not necessarily the 40 and all that he's fluid, he's fast, and you're seeing the play speed show up there. So that's great. Obviously, Shemar Stewart's 158 second 10-yard split, second fastest mark by any defender over 265 over the past 15 seasons. The only other one with a faster time was Nick Bosa in 2019. So you get some good insights here, and that's why I really like this. If you want to look at the results here of athleticism scores, right, which Next Gen Stats does, right? You get Ingram Dawkins from Georgia, who we talked about at 276. Landon Jackson's up here, CJ West, Ezaraku, Hemingway. I know Jared Harrison Hunt from SMU did a really nice job. And you get to see 40 speeds too, which is really cool. Landon Jackson reaching 21 miles an hour, right? That's fun. Shemar Stewart, obviously at 21.89 miles per hour on the 40. So I think this was a cool little tool that you could kind of run with if you'd like to. Jihad Campbell, Kane Madrano, who I know one of y'all has brought up. Might have been Ayers Joy who brought him up. He obviously was a little undersized at linebacker, but he was fast, and that's good. The 4.46, big for him. Eugene Asante also needed to run fast. So you get these really good athleticism scores in the 80s, 79. That's good stuff. Norman Lott, who didn't do a whole lot today, did the explosion drills. Those were good, but Norman Lott looks explosive and quick and all of that, which is great from Tennessee. So he's still somebody who should be on your radar at defensive tackle, even though the testing wasn't filled out today. If we want to go down here just for fun, quote unquote combine leaders by position. This is, I think, a fun tool to work with as well. Right now, you get overall score Abdul Carter's up there, but Azaraku with 83 and then the 85 athleticism. You got Pierce with the 74 athleticism. So, and yeah, 446 for I thought that was your guy, Madrano. So that's good for him. I'll bring up his thing quick here in a second, but you can see some 3-cone stuff, the 694 there. So they've added some stuff, which is cool. We can go to DT maybe. Take a peek here. Obviously, Graham's up there. Nolan Harmon's the only one of these guys who put up any athleticism numbers. So the athleticism was not bad, but that's cool. I kind of like this. This will be a fun tool to mess around with when all the positions are there, and we'll probably take a peek at that a lot. So Jalen Walker, of course, Campbell obviously put the testing together. Nick Martin, right? Another guy to watch for, 4.53, getting to 22 miles per hour. Jumps look really good there. He's only 221, though. Again, a lot of these linebackers are a little undersized. Mondon from Georgia, same way, 224. So it's nice when you get guys like, again, Jalen Walker notwithstanding, because he's probably going to be an edge at the next level. You get guys like Campbell who are 235. You get guys like Knight who are 235. Schwessinger at 242. Like, those are the type of players I want to see. I want to see more of. So this is nice. You can kind of plot these guys as well, athleticism versus production. You can select what you'd want to see, X and Y metrics. We might just kind of mess with these. We really might mess with these the next few days when we're looking through this stuff, because I think it's really, really good that they've kind of added some of this, because like you get 40-yard dash top speed at the edge rushers, right? You get short shuttle top speed for some of the edge guys. Kyle Kennard's in that grouping. So that's really cool. I like this. I like this a lot. And then obviously you can see over here the gauntlet for wide receivers is going to be up there as well. So yeah, here, maybe let me click linebacker here and see if we can get something. Perhaps. Yeah, okay. Demetrius Knight hitting 22 miles per hour. Same with Campbell. So a lot of these guys hit that mark. And yeah, I like this. Short shuttle top speed. Demetrius Knight Jr. was second there. Higgins, though, did reach top speed in the short shuttle. Just wasn't a very quick short shuttle. So that's fun. So again, you can plot stuff on these guys. Yeah, I think this would be fun to go through more. But anyway. Well, we got a lot of comments. Hang on, I will catch this. Nate's asking, who are you most excited about for tomorrow? So tomorrow is DBs, tight ends. Obviously, to me, Oronde Gadsden from Syracuse at tight end is somebody I'm really excited to watch tomorrow. I think Jedi Barron, if he's doing everything, is going to be exciting, no doubt about it. But I'm excited to see Azarie Thomas, Quincy Riley, and who was the other guy? Oh, I had it in my notes. And I got to go look for it now. Have to take a peek. There was one more. At corner that I'm like, I need to see stuff tomorrow. Now, I think Darian Porter is going to have a great day tomorrow, so you should be watching him. But I'm thinking of Noel Williams was another from Cal. So, yeah, those are four guys I would be looking at tomorrow. I can bring up, I saw somebody said bring up Fadil Diggs. Can definitely do that. The IQ thing is awesome. Didn't fully look at everything. Yeah, I'm excited to dive into that. I'll probably be doing that tomorrow, kind of during DBs and tight ends, so we can kind of put stuff together that we'd like to see. And it does look like it has historical data too, which I think is also a cool little like nugget in there. On top of it, Stutzman surprised me with his testing. Braden said that. I'll pull him up here. 6'3", 233. That plays. That's bigger. Vert not bad. Speed's pretty good. So that's good news. I thought the drills were a little meh at times, but I do think, again, when you get these guys that are 230 plus, I just feel like it's going to be, you're going to be better off in this day and age. The 220 guys it's going to be a struggle. It really is. Like, you have to be strong, Your cognitive skill set has to be really good. So it is going to be more difficult for them. I'd much rather see the big dudes run fast and then go to the film and say, like, okay, they're pretty instinctive. Like, that's the type of player I would want. I think Demetrius Knight fits that bill to a T, personally. Hoping Green Bay has him on the draft board. That's talking about Medrano. Medrano looked pretty good in drills, too. Yeah, he definitely did. There's got to be something on him. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, he's still 222, but yeah, the drills look good, and obviously the testing looks really good from him. So that's the good news, I think, for somebody like Medrano. He was the fastest defender at the Senior Bowl. Yeah, there were some pretty fast guys at the Senior Bowl. Lindenberg was one guy. I don't know if he put any numbers up, but I was excited to see what his looked like with the best perspiration testing. AFAM. AFAM always bringing some fun stuff to the comment section. I like it. Drew D asking if these linebackers will be safeties. Yeah, there probably will be some of them. I know that the Jalen Walker, I think is actually his name, from Indiana, right? The guy who's like 218 to 220. Like, he's probably gonna be a safety. Some of these guys will probably be thought of as like these hybrid package guys who, what can you do with them? Will linebacker. Maybe they'll ask them to blitz more. But yeah, you're probably going to get more coverage guys out of these 222 guys, and they might have to learn safety. They might, need to be core special teamers. Like, they're probably going to have to. They're going to have to find a way somehow. They just might not be playing traditional linebacker. For coverage, can shoot gaps, really helps short passes with our Sam linebacker struggle. Yeah, when Green Bay's in the base, I think finding some athleticism is big. Change of direction, all of that, but still being kind of big enough to kind of handle yourself up front, which I think, again, at 220, it's going to be harder, but you never know. Nice eye views. Is there an RSS feed? My goodness sakes. Fadil Diggs. Let's quickly. I know his is somewhere here. Real quick. Maybe not real quick. We'll find him eventually in here. I know. I've scrolled this so many times. I know he's here. There we go. Yeah, 9'3", 6'4", 257. Yeah, this is good for him. The 1.6, the 10-1 broad. Those are good numbers for him. Somebody I need to check out for sure in the class. A 9.3 in the testing at 257. We will take that. Airdrie says, don't get me wrong, I like Wilson McDuffie as quality backups and good special teams players. Yeah, we still need to see stuff from Hopper. Do they test Riz at the combine? Maybe. Hey, that's kind of like the interview process, though, AFAM, right? Like, how good are you in the interviews, right? Sure. So they probably do. They just nobody calls it that, right? These guys in the meeting rooms are not calling it that. Maybe the Jags GM. He's younger. Oh, Kane Schreiber. Okay. Do you buy the rumors that Arroyo could be a top 25 pick? Makes me think the Chiefs are trying to get Loveland to fall to them. Yeah, that would make sense. The Chiefs would love to have Colston Loveland fall to 31, I'm sure. But there are other guys for Kansas City on day 2, right? I do think, like, Gunnar Helm, Mason Taylor, Gadsden, of course, I think is somebody who falls into that as well. But yeah, I'm not buying Arroyo top 25. That seems wild to me. But again, if the Chiefs want to do that in round 2, like, I don't see why not. But yeah, I don't think we're getting that. Yeah, I agree. Too many good defensive line players. They're good corners. 2 tight ends are going up there. The 20s feels like the spots for a lot of the receivers to come off the board. Just doesn't feel like he's somebody who's gonna fit the bill of a top 25 player. AFAM says we shouldn't have passed on Nolan Smith. AFM says that dude wrecked the playoff game. He wrecked a lot of playoff games this year, that's for sure. He really came into his own in that playoff run for Philly. Be great to have him. I thought Will McDonald had a nice season for the Jets. Those guys are smaller, and you know how Green Bay is. They like the bigger edge rushers, bigger defensive ends. So what's going on? Remy Tomez says, can you post the link with the RAS numbers? Yeah. So to follow here, this is the link for his account. But if you want to go to here, hold on. If you want to go to the RAS site and like, hey, I want to check this guy at safety. I want to check the Georgia guy, right, that we talked about. I want to check him at defensive end, not defensive tackle. You can definitely do that. Here we go. And here is the link for RAS itself. A little temperamental. Sometimes you have to kind of be patient for things to spin before you can kind of input what you want to search for a player. But again, it's one guy doing all this. He does a tremendous job. So those are the links for you there. If we don't have anything else, we'll probably call it an evening. But yeah, I mean, we could go through so many players, right? Could talk about Jeffrey Bassa, the other guy. He's 230, which is good. The numbers are solid though for him. He was one of those guys who is really, really fast, and you can tell the play speed and the tracking stuff has really liked him. So yeah, he's somebody who's well in range for teams that need linebacker later in day 2, maybe early day 3, but yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of players you can go through and look at. Baron Sorrell's another one where we talk about the Packers specifically, right? Of like looking guys maybe 255 and up at edge. Like he might still be somebody who fits the bill a little bit later in the draft as well. So yeah, we could do this all day, and we will, right? We're gonna do this 3 more times every day of the combine. We're gonna kind of recap it, give some thoughts. Obviously really excited for wide receiver. Tight end will be fun tomorrow. The DBs are going to be good. We'll get a lot of good stuff on the corners, which I think will kind of give us a good idea, right? There's a lot of the buzz of Azareye'h Thomas going round 1. We'll see if it kind of confirms that, if teams like, because he's, again, at corner, you like to hit certain benchmarks, right? That's what you want to see. And so maybe we will see that tomorrow. But if that's all we got for tonight, thank you all for showing up. Appreciate PTA not going live because I know that affects the viewership a little bit, but I appreciate y'all hanging out. From Adam, from Drew, from Ian, from Chris, from Prince Capsaicin, right? Drew D, as I said already. My guy Nate, of course, chilling in here. Too old for this. Joseph Gleason, Airs Joy, right? AFAM, of course, dropping in to say hello and always provide some entertainment, which is fun. My guy Braden, who, if you're looking at Chiefs stuff at all, or you want to be more diverse in your following of the NFL, should take a look at him at Arrowhead Addict doing some Chiefs stuff. Remy obviously showed up as well late as well. I appreciate y'all showing up. So hit that thumbs up if you can on the way out. Sub if you haven't. I think most of you have probably subbed. One more thing. Before we get out of here, just as a kind of a plug while y'all are here, if you want to take a peek at something new on the channel, right? We got Emeka Egbuka. If you want to take what makes Emeka Egbuka such a kind of quality, reliable wide receiver, that film room is now live. So if you want to jump over and kind of look at that, that'd be awesome. That's always appreciated. If you take a look at those, I know it's not Green Bay related, but Green Bay's still looking at receiver. So, if you want to check that out, I would really appreciate that as well. So thank you guys again so much tonight. We'll see you here tomorrow night. Probably about the same time. What I'm shooting for each night is kind of when things wrap up combine-wise, so it's probably going to be around that 8 p.m. Lambeau time. So thank you guys again so much. Appreciate y'all. Go Pack Go, of course. But hope y'all enjoy tomorrow at the Combine, because it should be another fun day. Looking for those Avengers in terms of Combine testing. Thank you all. Good night, everybody.